Hey everybody, we are continuing our journey with expanding single brackets. So in the previous video we were looking at using the distributive law to expand single brackets. This video is going to introduce negatives, fractions and decimals into our questions. The method doesn't really change, you just need to know how to multiply, divide, add and subtract with negative numbers. So let's look at an example here. What do you notice that is different about these and what do you notice that is the same? So I think it's relatively obvious. You can see the thing that's the same is each of the terms 2, 3m and 3. The thing that's different is the sign of the 3. So we've got positive 3 and then we've got a negative 3. So let's try to work this out and see what we get. So for the first bracket, you're going to do 2 times 3m, which is 6m. So actually we should write out our working 2 times 3m plus, and then we're going to do 2 times 3. So that's going to give us 6m plus 6. Now the difference here is we have to be really careful with negative numbers and make sure that they are carried through with the number, with the signs are attached to the numbers we are looking at. So 2 times 3m, we're just going to write that out. So that's the same as the other question. And then we're going to add 2 times negative 3. So 2 times 3m is going to give you 6m. And then we're adding 2 times negative 3. So 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. So we're adding negative 6. Now normally we don't need to write that plus sign. Adding negative 6 is just the same as taking away 6. So we can just write take away 6. So that's the key difference with the answers here. You must show using the distributive law and then simplifying. So using the distributive law, simplifying. So usually there's at least 2 lines of working out. Have a go with these 2 questions. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through this. Now, these questions look different, but they actually are the same question. So let's see why. 4 times y is 4y plus, and then we're doing 4 times negative 3. So let's just write that out. 4 times negative 3. So that's 4y plus, and then that's negative 12, which we can also just write as 4y minus 12. So you can actually, this line here, you don't always have to write that. If you're confident with it, just go straight to your answer here. And then on the right hand side, we're going to have 4 times y. And then we're going to multiply 4 by negative 3. So plus 4 times negative 3. So that's going to give us 4y plus negative 12. But again, we can just write 4y minus 12. Just on a side note, in case you're confused about that positive sign here, when you are doing a subtraction, for example 5 minus 2, another way to write that is 5 plus negative 2. We're just used to writing it this way. When you're subtracting 2, you're actually adding negative 2. That's the same thing. You're adding the inverse of 2. Okay, so have a go with both of these questions and then we're going to practice a few more. So pause the video if you need more time. So first of all, we're going to do 4 times y plus 4 times negative 3. So that's going to give you, now I'm just going to go straight to the answer here. So it's 4y minus 12. And then on this side here, 4 times negative 3 plus 4 times y. So 4 times negative 3 is negative 12 plus 4y. Now what you've noticed here is inside the bracket, you've got y minus 3. And in this bracket, you've got negative 3 plus y. This is actually just using the commutative law of addition. Technically, there's a plus sign in the middle there. So this is y. There's a positive y and a negative 3. There's a positive y and a negative 3. So actually, you will get the same answer here. We just got it in a different order. Okay, another example here. Expand the following. Show you're working out. Okay, pause the video if you need more time. I'm going to work through these. I'm going to go relatively quicker with this. So we're going to do 5 times b plus 5 times negative 2. So that's 5b plus, so 5b minus 10 or plus negative 10. Both of those would be correct. 5 times negative 3 plus, and we're going to do 5 times b. So that's negative 15 plus 5b. And then the last one, 4 times 3m, take away 7 times 4. So 4 times 3m is 12m. 7 times 4 is negative 7 times 4 is negative 28. Now, I'm going to just show you one other way to write this out. We could have also written 4 times 3m plus 4 times negative 7. So that becomes 12m plus negative 28, which we know is just the same as 12m minus 28. So you get the same answer here. Okay, now let's try another example. Pause the video and have a go. Alright, if you need more time, keep pausing. Otherwise, here we go. So negative 3 times y plus negative 3 times 3. And that becomes negative 3y minus 9. You can have a plus sign in the middle there if you want, but we don't normally write that. And then here we've got negative 3 times y plus negative 3 times negative 3. So that becomes negative 3y plus, now negative 3 times negative 3 is actually just positive 9. So we can just write 9. We don't need to write another plus sign there. Technically we are allowed to do that, but that doesn't make a difference to us. So this would be negative 3y plus 9. Okay, some more examples here. Spot the difference, have a go with what you think this is. Okay, so I'm going to show you the answer. This is a special case because you'll notice looks like there's no number on the outside, but actually there is a negative 1 on the outside. We just don't write the 1 there. In the same way that when you write negative x, what we're actually writing is negative 1x. When you have a negative of a bracket, you're actually writing negative 1 times 2 plus 3t. And on the right hand side, negative 1 times 2 minus 3t. So let's expand both. If you didn't know what I've just told you, try to expand both of these and then we can work out the answers. We can check the answers. So negative 1 times 2 plus negative 1 times 3t. So negative 1 times 3t. That becomes negative 2 plus, now negative 1 times 3t is just negative 3t, so plus negative 3t, but we don't need to write that plus sign. That's your answer. And on the right hand side, negative 1 times 2 plus negative 1 times negative 3t. So negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Negative 1 times negative 3t is positive 3t. So when you multiply a negative by a negative, the answer is positive. So negative 1 times negative 3t is positive 3t. Okay, we'll do some practice questions here. I am going to do the first question and then you can try the one on the right. So negative 5 times 7 plus negative 5 times 4, and that becomes negative 35 take away 20. Negative 35 take away 20 is going to be negative 55. Try the question on the right. You're not going to be able to simplify it as much as I've done this one. Okay, so the one on the right, you are going to do negative 4 times 5 plus negative 4 times y. So this becomes negative 20 plus negative 4y, and we don't really need the plus sign in the middle, so it's just negative 20 minus 4y. That's your final answer. Okay, question on the left I'm going to do for you, and then you're going to do the one on the right. So we're going to do negative 2a times 9d plus negative 2a times 4b. So negative 2a times 9d is going to give you negative 18ad, and then negative 2a times 4b is going to give you negative 8ab. That's your answer. If you try the question on the right, and then you do another exercise coming up. Right, so pause the video if you need more time. So we're going to do negative 2a times 9d. That's the same as the previous question, but this time we're going to add negative 2a times negative 4b. So that's the difference here, that negative 4b. The first bit stays the same, that's just going to give you negative 18ad. The second bit, we are adding now negative 2a times negative 4b. We're going to multiply 2 and 4, negative 2, negative 4. It's going to give you positive 8, and then a times b is just ab. So practically the same answer, except the sign changes from a negative to a positive. Okay, let's try a few more true or false questions. Pause the video and check whether the following are true or false. If they're false, then make a correction. I'm going to show you the answers in 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, so for question 1, 2 times n is 2n, and 2 times negative 3 is not negative 23. It's going to give you negative 6. So that's F for false. The next one, a times b is ab. That's true. A times negative 1 is negative a. So we're going to say that's going to be true. The next one, negative 7 times 3 is negative 21. Negative 7 times positive 2m is going to give you negative 14m. So the mistake here is that should be negative. The 14m is fine, but it should be negative 14m. Okay, next one. Hopefully you spotted the mistake if there is one. Negative 7 times negative 3 is positive 21. That's great. Negative 7 times negative 2m is positive 14. Now there should be an m as well, so that's false because of the missing m. That should say false there. So it should be positive 21 plus 14m. Okay, and then the next one, 4, we got 2 lots of p is 2p. And then 2 lots of 7q is 14q, so that's fine. And then 2 lots of negative r is negative 2r, so that should be a negative sign. So the answer is false because of that negative sign. All right, let's do some practice here. Pause the video, try all of the questions in the exercise. If you're very confident, you can start from D. You need to be really careful with the signs here. So I'm going to show you the answers in 3, 2, 1. So pause the video if you need more time to do these questions. Here are the answers. Self-check. You do have some fractions in these questions as well. Okay, I hope that was useful. Smash the like button, hit subscribe if this was useful. I'll see you in the next video.